A very good afternoon to all who have joined for this afternoon session of Day 2 of this AICTE Atal sponsored 5 days online faculty development program on wearable devices. This non-technical session on success amidst stress will be handled by Mr. Brighton Anvil, Counselor, Petra, the Rock Missions. Mr. Brighton Anvil is a management missionary working among youngsters, teachers, and corporate leaders in the fields of counseling, leadership, and empowerment through his service organization Petra, the Rock Missions, based in Coimbatore, South India. Hailing from the city of Chennai, Mr. Brighton Anvil obtained his graduate degree in Allied Health Sciences from Sri Ramachandra Medical College and Research Institute, Chennai, and MBA from Carnegie Institute of Technology, Bardiyar University, Coimbatore. He is married to Priscilla Manuel, who is a psychologist, career counselor, and is blessed with 2 lovely daughters, Cheruba and Sarafa. Mr. Brighton Anvil is an accredited management teacher by All India Management Association, New Delhi, in the field of human resource and organizational behavior, with 13 years of full-time teaching and research experience at Karunya University. He worked as HR and admin executive for Digital Alarm Technologies India Private Limited, Chennai, for a couple of years before being employed at Karunya University. He is seasoned leadership facilitator through Hawaii Institute, Hawaii, USA, and a fellow member of the United Board for Christian Higher Education in Asia, New York, USA. His training in higher education was at Valparaiso University, Indiana, USA, and De La Salle University, Manila, Philippines, during the year 2010 to 2012. He has presented research papers at various international conferences in the USA, Philippines, and India on polarity and healthcare management, along with 6 publications in recognized journals. He served as the faculty coordinator for the International Association for the Exchange of Students for Technical Experience at Karunya University and the financial advisor at IAESTE, India from 2013 to 2016. Mr. Brighton Anvil has rendered his services on various academic boards and university administration committees during his tenure at Karunya University. He is invited by churches, schools, colleges, corporate and mission organizations to facilitate learning on various areas spanning across personality development, time management, self-management skills, entrepreneurship development, courtship, parenting, ethics, and values. His personal interests are music, dramatic, social work, and he enjoys adventure activities for learning and development. Above all, he and his wife Priscilla desire and strive in connecting you to the truth. Now I hand over the session to Mr. Brighton Anvil. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. It's so nice to connect with you all this afternoon as part of this FDP, as part of this faculty development program organized by the sponsorship from AICTE and Karunya University as a partnership. So I deem it a real privilege to be part of this wonderful forum. I've been following through what has been happening yesterday, today, and I think we'll have it for another 2 days. So it's a very rare privilege, and I would say this is one of the very rare kind of meetings that we are taking up. The last 8 months has been amazing. In fact, 10 months has been amazing, literally virtual. Most of us who are on the call, I think you are all professors and teachers and acclaimed academicians and research scholars. So maybe a few years back, we were thinking we should go digital. We wanted to go online. We want to meet students. And there were so many apprehensions and inhibitions by the old school of thought. But come 2020 and from March onwards, everything has been online, and we are forced to go online with no other choice, with a lot of fear. So this is definitely a wonderful privilege for me personally, and I want to acknowledge this privilege given to me to meet with all of you. Of course, if it was a face-to-face program, then it would be really nice to see who's on the call. So maybe you are able to see my video for some time. I'll turn off my video also for the sake of bandwidth. But we believe that we are all on the other side as we do it in the online classes, trusting that our students are there listening on the other side. We give our best. So I'm really glad to connect with you all, friends from different parts of the country. I want to especially greet you for the last month of this year. 2020 starting was so much of hype, January 2020. I still remember how we started off special year, special. That special became a slightly different one because it made us all lock down and go to the new normal and adapt to technologies and practices which we never thought will come so soon. But thanks and no thanks to Corona, all right, to COVID. We have both extremes. We'll be touching on these things a little bit here. So, as mentioned by the MC, the madam who introduced, thank you very much, madam, for the words of introduction. And I acknowledge what I am today is all because of what the Almighty God has bestowed on me, nothing else. I know who I was and what I am today. So, thank you for this introduction. And this session is not technical. I don't know how many of you are happy about it or not happy about it. This is not technical, and I'm not a technical person. I'm a paramedic plus a management person. So I'm not going to teach anything related to electronics, or we're not going to talk anything on it. But it's a life-oriented thing. It's beyond technical, all right? Beyond what we do as a routine, as a mundane activity, and we are going to look into our own lives. So it's a very relaxed session. I would encourage all of you to not relax too much, because it's also a graveyard session post lunch. So if you allow too much of only listening, we may go into deep slumber. So I encourage you to also speak up. I'm not sure whether the chat is active. If it is there, please, you can post your comments or questions in the chat. Otherwise, you can unmute and speak up also. So we're going to learn together. I really don't want to make it one way. I really don't want you to be listening for the next few minutes and say, thank you very much and go. It's a learning together. And if you think, or if you feel halfway through that all these points are known to me, there's nothing new, we are already in the new normal, what this guy is talking, if you feel anything is coming up in your mind, saying this kind of a thought, I would request you, definitely take it home. Okay, you're familiar with this word take home, all right? So it's not take home salary or take home even food, fast food, everything is take home now. So at the end of the next 1 hour or so, even though if it does not apply to you personally directly, I would encourage you to take home some of the learnings to be maybe to your spouse, to your children, to your parents, maybe your relatives, your aged grandparents at home. Some of the points that we're going to touch upon today will definitely be of use to you. All right. So, with that a few words of introduction, please allow me to stop my video for the sake of bandwidth and then start the presentation, so you're able to see. Right. Hope you're able to see there. Welcome once again on behalf of the organizers. Yeah, first of all, I would like to say a big thank you in different languages. So if you're familiar with any of these languages that is up on the screen, you can pick your favorite language. This is one picture that I use in many places, which goes well because people start searching for which language they are comfortable with. So thank you in English is at the center, then Hindi, Shukriya is there at the bottom, and many, Magsi, Gracias, many things are there. So in whatever language you're comfortable, I want to thank you for that and wishing you all a very good day, good afternoon and a day. Go ahead. As I said, it's a relaxed session, so feel free, keep your mind open. One of the difficult attitudes or difficult, I would say, traits of the teaching fraternity is to unlearn things. Okay, we are good at teaching, we are good at telling others, but when it comes to learning for ourselves, there is something that hinders, and that hindrance is the ability to unlearn. So I believe today afternoon we'll have the attitude to unlearn certain things and learn new things. So thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank the Almighty God who has enabled me to be part of this and what He has brought me through, because I'm not the kind of person who actually speaks like this, very timid, very shy, can't come in front of people, can't come in front of a camera and speak, but things have changed, and I really want to acknowledge that what the Almighty God has done. And I want to thank the wonderful sponsors and organizers together, Karnia Institute of Technology and AACT Training and Learning Academy, then AACT in itself, an institution which we are so attached as an alumni of the institution, Department of ECE at KITS, and Dr. Nesa Sudha, madam, who very kindly, promptly invited me to be part of this FDP, and the organizing team behind. Okay, who are, maybe they may not come in front of the show at all, but very quietly, silently, diligently working behind the scenes to make sure the FDP goes on without any disturbances. So I want to thank, as introduced, this is who I am, who we are, just for your information, so that it may help you or anyone around you in the future. So basically we live in Coimbatore, and these are the three areas that you see on the screen. Counseling, we're into this, leadership and empowerment. And one of the reasons why I'm talking to you today afternoon, it very well falls into our scope of empowerment. You see at the bottom here, we empower women, youth and teachers and elders, and it very rightly fell into our scope and perspective of our purpose. So this is what we do. We focus more on counseling, relationship issues and addictions. We also do a lot of leadership and empowerment programs for the corporates and organizations. So let's get started. The title or the theme that we were asked to discuss, talk, or reflect or brainstorm is success amidst stress. And another word that I put on the screen is, how do we move from stress to success? How do we slowly navigate ourselves? Because both of these words are inevitable in our lives. We cannot leave any one and take up the other. I'm going to ask a few questions. If possible, you can unmute and speak as we progress. So we are going to handle these two words. All right, we're going to let's say, let's decode it or demystify these two words and say, how do I handle stress and also success in my life? And you will agree with me fully if I say these last 10 months of 2020 has brought in so much of unprecedented or unexpected stress into our lives. And what kind of stress? We will see that as we move on. So this is going to be our theme. And as I told you, you can apply it to your life first personally. If you think it's overflowing, overwhelming, all no, then try to take it home for the benefit of your own friends, family, and students and the society around you. So I would like to start off with a story that happened about 6 to 7 years ago. The picture that you see on the screen, this is not the actual girl, but there was a little girl who lived in our city very next to us. So one of our known uncles, he went home to this little girl's home one evening to meet her parents. So when he entered the home, this girl was doing some work, books around, and she was writing some homework. She was as small as you see on the screen. She was studying in UKG, upper kindergarten, all right, UKG. So uncle went home, and he was talking to the parents, and he wanted to get the attention of this little girl, UKG student, all right. So when uncle turned, one of my friends who turned to this little girl and asked, "Hello child, how are you? How are things with you?" You know what was the response immediately? "Uncle, don't disturb me, I'm stressed." That was the response given by a UKG student. This is about 6-7 years back. All right, a little girl, as you see on the picture, putting her hands on the head and say, "Uncle, don't disturb, I am stressed." So that was a very interesting response which uncle heard for the first time from a small girl. Usually we think stress is for somebody who are working, people who are pressurized with too much of responsibilities, expectations are more and things like that. But here is one little girl who is studying in UKG, and she says, "Uncle, don't disturb, I am stressed out." I'm sure you'll be able to connect with what I'm saying, because you could have seen such things happening in your homes, in your own homes with your children or your brother's or sister's child or your neighbor's child, or somebody who's stressed because of the unprecedented or unforeseen situations around. Young boys, small girls, young men and young women are also stressed out. So there are so many questions, so many reasons that cloud our mind. Okay, so as you see on the picture on the top right, what we see here are the challenges or the issues that trouble us or bring the stress onto our heads. Okay, it could be family, it could be work, deadlines, it could be worrying about worry. All right, because there are people who are actually worried about their worries. There's so much to worry, and they worry about their own worries. All right, so it could be worry, it could be health problems. It could be sudden loss of a job, debt, you borrowed money, unable to repay it back. All right. So all these, there are many reasons. We're going to see one by one in detail. If everything goes well, you can also put in your responses as we go ahead. So the point is, stress is not only for grown-ups, people who are employed. Stress is right from little child. All right. So to the old people. After a few minutes, I'll share another story from my own personal experience that happened maybe a couple of months back during the lockdown, and then we'll be able to see that. So let's get into a little bit of statistics of what really is happening around us. Stress is not something which is, very, very isolated, only for you, only you are suffering, only I'm suffering with stress. No, it's universal. And here are some stats from the global research that has been done. 33% of teenagers, basically our students maybe, our school students, our college students, they feel stressed because of social media. Coping up. I'm sure all of you are familiar with this word called nomophobia. All right, they are so stressed because they may miss out on something. Nomophobia, no mobile phobia, fear of missing out. Okay, they call it as the FOMO, right? FOMO, fear of missing out. 33% of teenagers have that fear and they're stressed. Stress is the main cause of 30% of infertility problems, according to stress facts. And it also goes on to say our bodies need 90 minutes, that is 1 hour and a half, to recover from a stressful situation. I'm sure all of you know of this 3F, no? Flight, fight, or freeze. So when stress comes, there are 3 reactions that each of us can give. Either we can fight it out, we can move out from the situation, or we can freeze there. So once any of these things happen in your life, it takes 90 minutes for us to come back to normalcy. 1 hour and 30 minutes to come back to normalcy. This is just for information to put it in your head, so we handle ourselves well and also the people around us better. 30% or 29% of the students feel that constant stress and pressure to look good. Isn't that interesting? It's not just students, I believe. Nowadays, even it happens for even grown-up people who really want to look good. So we are always stressed about what others will tell about me. How will I look in front of the camera? How will I look in front of my mirror? How will my selfie be? How will my profile picture be? What will be my status on social media? So all these things put up a lot of pressure in us, and students say 30% of them feel constantly stressed because of that. Teenagers who spend 5 or more hours per day on the internet are 71% likely to have at least one suicide risk factor. My friends, please make a note of this. We are surrounded by teenagers, we are surrounded by young people, students around us. The more they spend time on the internet, there is high risk of suicide risk factors. Stats on stress say that 45 people who are cared for their spouses or parents say they experience high levels of stress. If I'm going to ask some of us who are joined on the call today to unmute and share your experience during the lockdown, especially when you work from home, with your spouse around you, with your children around you, and your parents or in-laws around you, I'm sure most of you will agree, yes, it was stressful. I've heard many people call up and say it is better to go to the office than to sit at home and work. Because initially when they said work from home, many of us thought, wow, what a joy it's going to be, what an experience. No more meeting the boss face to face, no more giving the reports face to face, no more getting scolding face to face. That's what we thought. But interestingly, after 3 months, there were many people who called up and said, no, it's enough. I want to go back to my office. I'm unable to cope up with the stress at home because there's so many things happening. It's not just work. All right. So this is the reality around. Okay. As mentioned, the 30% of infertility problems is because of stress. And stress statistics show that a staggering 70% of people are stressed by the lack of time. Just by the thought that they are running short of time, they are unable to meet deadlines, they don't have enough time to do things, not just professional things, my friends. So please listen very carefully. I'm not talking only about work-related stress. This is our day-to-day stress in life, whatever we go through in general, right? So there are 70% of people who say they are stressed out because of lack of time. Even the thought that they are unable to meet a deadline, even the thought that they're not able to submit a particular document or report or publication or whatever the boss asked, they were unable to do. That puts under stress. Here is something from India, quite specific. It says 9 out of 10 Indians suffer from stress. Okay, this maybe 2018, it would have, maybe now it is 10 out of 10, I don't know, in 2020 after all this. So let's keep reading. There are a few stats which are given here. Nearly 9 in 10 Indians suffer from stress. In fact, the recent released findings 2018, which was conducted by TTK Healthcare, they show that stress levels are high in Indians compared with other developed and emerging countries. Isn't that surprising? US, UK, Germany, France, China, Brazil, and Indonesia, Indians have a little higher level of stress. According to the second one on your left, according to Money Control, the survey further revealed that 95% of the Indian millennials between the age of 18 to 34, I'm not sure how many of you are in this age group now, maybe this is 2-3 years ago, are stressed compared to the global average of 86%. Making matters worse, 1 in 8 Indians have serious trouble in dealing with stress, unable to cope with stress. We are stressed out, but we don't know how to cope up with that. Nearly 75% of the Indian respondents said they don't feel comfortable talking to a medical professional about their stress. Okay, the reason is consultation costs are high, and that's a big barrier. That's a very interesting finding. They don't want to go to a doctor because that itself is going to put them under stress because financial obligations are quite high. And the last one here at the bottom right, with work being cited as one of the key triggers for stress in the country, the more often mentioned culprit is finances. Work is one of the reasons, but the actual reason is finances, money-related issues. It's not surprising that workplace wellness is taking center stage. A whooping 87% of the respondents said that workplace wellness programs are important in choosing between 2 potential employers. And India is doing well in this front. This is a finding from the research done by TTK Healthcare a couple of years ago. Again, I would like to summarize and give you stress statistics in India. What are the causes, or what are the top reasons for stressors in India? We are going to make it personal in another few slides, but now this is the global and national level information in front of us. As per the percentage that you see on the graph in front of you, 36.8%, the reasons are: 1, disrespect at workplace causes stress. And the next top reason here is inadequate income. As I told you, finances cause a lot of stress. The first reason is disrespect and finances, followed by 30%, which is overtime and personal responsibilities at home. Then 29.8%, lack of work-life balance. Then 29% is no constructive feedback from the boss or the manager or your HOD or professor or director, whatever you can name it. You can replace the word manager with anything else there. And then followed by 23.6%, which is participation. Many times we are made to do things on our own, all right? Or the opposite is we are pulled into many things. We're going to see how we can escape that in another few minutes. Then 22.8%, they say lack of support from the manager. He gives the job, but the manager or the boss is not around to help you or give you an input. And the last one, interference of personal relationship in work. This has been, this has increased quite a bit in the last 10 months. If you believe me or not, interestingly, the counseling cases which we get during this pandemic lockdown was this. They want to perform well, but they are unable to perform well at work because of the interference of their family, of their spouse and children at home, and their household responsibilities. So this graph, I think, would have gone up a little bit during this lockdown. Right, let's keep moving on. Friends, if you have any queries or doubts or anything, any comment to make, please feel free. This is not the technical formal session. We can always make it as flexible and learning as possible. Let's move on. So what we're going to do today afternoon is to slow down a bit. That's what exactly we are doing. Make sure you're not sitting or sleeping in a couch that you doze off. So we're going to relax and learn some techniques of de-stressing. This I'm going to talk about from my own life experience. and also from the lessons that I've learned and taught to people around, was stressed. So this word stressed, when you read it from left to right, it is S-T-R-E-S-S-E-E-D. I'm sure most of you know what is going to be if you read it from right to left. It's called deserts, right? So when you read it from left to right, it's called stressed. When you read it from right to left, it's called deserts. And deserts are what? Not the dry deserts where there's no rain. Deserts are the sweets or the ice creams that we eat at the end of our meal. So I'm sure there is a possibility for us to turn our stress into deserts. It is possible. Not just by reading the word upside down, but definitely it's possible. And as I said, it's out of my own experience and handling people with stress. So there are many reasons that can cause stress in our lives. It could be a nervous system, a person's personality, a mental makeup, situations around. There are many reasons. I'm going to give time for each of you to, if you have a notepad or pen or something that's around you, please pick it up. We're going to do a small activity. I'm not sure how I can see you or anything, but let me give a try. We're going to list out something. So let's see what is stress. Quickly, one of the simplest definitions, it says, it is the gap between our expectation and the reality, or your expectation and the reality. More the gap, more the stress. So what it says, expect nothing, or I would say expect less and accept everything. One of the question and the answer is there on the slide. So they say, why do we feel stress, or what is stress? It is a gap between our expectation and reality. So expect less and accept everything. One of the lessons I learned during one of my training programs in the year 2000, he said, the trainer taught us this. He said, more the expectations, more the misery. Try to apply this statement in your life as you're listening to this right from home. The more you expect things to happen from your family members, your friends, or your colleagues, or your students, the more you raise the bar of expectations. When people don't meet up your expectation, you're into severe stress. We put ourselves into severe stress and say, I expected so much and these guys are not doing it. I get angry on them, shout at them, use bad language, and shout on the computer or the phone. All right. So the more we raise our expectation bar, the more stress also goes up. All right. Just keep in mind, we'll see how we can handle it better.
Hello.
Is there a possibility for anybody to answer this question that's on the screen? Is stress bad for health? Is it good or bad?
Sir, Kalesh sir, உங்களுக்கு host கொடுத்துறவா?
Been talking. If somebody
bad.
Is there?
சுப்ரமணியன் என்றவர் அவர்தான் கெஸ்டா?
It's bad.
It's bad.
இல்லடா.
It's bad.
சுப்ரமணியன் என்றவர் தான் இன்னைக்கு பிரசன்ட் பண்ண போறாரா?
Any other?
அப்ப அவருக்கு ஹோஸ்டும் சார்ஜ் கொடுத்துறவா?
Responses or
கொடுத்து வெளிய போறா, சரியா?
Different take on this. Stress is bad.
யாரு?
Okay, to give a simpler word for stress, it's basically, remember when we teach children to pronounce English words, when we teach children to develop their language, we use this word quite often. We say you have to give emphasis, you have to stress that word. What does that mean? Are we making it bad? We are putting a little pressure on that word. We are giving a little more importance to that word. Even when I'm talking to you now, if you listen very carefully, there are certain statements and words where I would have stressed. It's not that I am stressed, but I'm stressing the word. What does it mean? I'm putting little emphasis on it, a pressure on it. I'm sure all of you are sitting in a chair or desk or a sofa or couch or something today afternoon. Imagine if you don't want to stress your sofa, if you don't want to put pressure on your chair, where will you be sitting? You have to be floating in the air, 1 inch above the seat, which is not possible. The reason why we are able to sit comfortably on our chair or sofa or couch or bed or wherever is because we are putting some pressure on that chair, on the furniture. Otherwise, we lose our balance and we fall. Okay? So, as you said, I would take 50% of your answer. Is stress bad for health? I will take 50%. Yes, but there's the other side of it. Let's go ahead. Move on. All right. There are two types of stress: bad stress and good stress. As simple, no complication, no rocket science, no electronic terminologies here. It's very simple: bad stress and good stress. Now the challenge is with us to identify what is bad stress, what is good stress, and how do we handle them, how do we classify them in our lives. If we mix everything up, we are in big trouble. As you see in the meter at the bottom, you can either go to the right extreme and have big problems in your health and family and relationship and anger, and it could lead even to many sickness, even death. All right, but if we are wise enough, if we are able to apply our education, our knowledge, our wisdom, then we'll be able to balance it well. So there are two types of stress, bad and good stress. Basically pressure, all right, pressure that builds inside of us, because without stress we actually cannot go anywhere. Imagine, before going to the next slide, I want to say, just imagine this FDP is happening. If you are not stressed enough to attend this meeting, you're not going to attend at all. All right, so you yourself put in some good stress and say, okay, let me join by clicking that link and join. That clicking itself is a stress. All right, it's not the negative stress, not the bad stress, it's a good stress. All right, you're doing it for your own development. There is something good happening inside of you. If there is no pressure, you're not going to join. Okay, so there may be various factors that made you to join. Let's look at this continuum. This is a very interesting one. If you want to take a screenshot or something, please take it and have it. The continuum is there at the bottom. 3 words are there, and the graph which shows how we are supposed to handle it or be careful about it. Let me start with the continuum at the bottom here. See, there are 3 words: eustress, distress, and severe distress. Usually, people who are able to balance it well, we keep moving from eustress to distress. Okay, this is a continuum, basically kind of a clock, a pendulum kind of a thing. So our pendulum movement is from eustress to distress. Eustress is the good stress. Now look at the graph above the image here, the good stress, the green part of it. What does it do? It helps you to have improved focus. It motivates you. Good stress motivates you. And it helps you to endure things, even though there are failures, difficulties, internet problem, bandwidth is not there. Imagine all the when you do, most of the teachers on the call, you want to do something good for your students that day, you are already set with a laptop and everything, suddenly internet goes off. It happened to us yesterday night also. All right, we had to do a meeting, evening, the internet is gone. All right, but that does not push us into severe distress. It gives us a momentum from eustress to distress, yes, but we immediately jump back to eustress. We find out alternates. We focus on it. We say, okay, internet is down. I'm not going to take the class today. I'm not going to meet the students today. We're not going to give up. We say, let me find an alternative. Let me see if the mobile data works. Let me see if some hotspot is there. Let me see, is there some other Wi-Fi available? So that is good stress, because it keeps you moving forward. All right. So I believe you're able to understand what I'm conveying. If there's any doubts, please unmute and stop me, because I'm unable to see anybody anywhere. So I'm assuming you're all there. So this is, as you see on the graph on the left side, is human performance, and here is the good stress and distress. So there is always a tipping point. I'm sure as engineers, as electronic specialists, you're able to connect with this wave here, the bell curve. There's always a tipping point. After that, it actually comes down. So as long as we are able to maintain our stress levels between eustress and distress, it's good, no problem. Because unless you go to a distress, there is no enjoyment. If just for example, now if everything is happening perfectly well, there's no challenge in life at all. Right. Is there anybody who says, I have no problems in my life from the day I was born till today, no problem, zero problem life? No. Everybody has problems. We move to distress. Some people who are unable to handle distress have moved to severe distress. That's where we hear these words called breakdown, depression, and even suicides. People are unable to handle the pressure. They tip at this point and go down. You see the graph at the top. They say mentally, physically, emotionally, we break down. But again, there are people who can jump back very well from severe distress back to distress and to eustress. It's possible. It depends on with whom you are surrounded with. All right? With what kind of people are around you. Are they people who give positive energy into you and say, don't worry, my friend, you can come out of it. I'm there with you. Or are they people who are scolding and discouraging you and say, that's it, gone. There's no scope for you, no hope for you to come out of it, and discourering what's only coming. All right, so please take a picture of this or keep it, because this has been of great use to me. I came to know this just few maybe 5 to 6 years ago only, 2015 only, 5 years ago. when somebody said we actually move from eustress to distress. And these two are important, because if distress is not there, because the pressure point is not there, we don't progress in life at all. We'll be stagnant. No pressure, no motivation, no focus, no push. There is no progress in life at all. So it's always good if you're able to maintain in this point. Yeah. Simple differentiation, as you see on the screen. There is good stress and bad stress. What does the good stress do? It keeps us alert. I believe all of you are alert today afternoon. If it is good stress, you'll be alert. Okay. If what is happening today, the topic that I'm talking to you is a bad stress, it will distract you. Maybe you're on the phone or on your laptop, but maybe browsing or checking your WhatsApp messages or checking FB or Instagram, posting selfie or whatever, I don't know. So good stress keeps you alert. It keeps you on our edge, means always progressive. We want to move ahead. It keeps us interested, keeps us focused, and it gives us energy. This is good stress. So my friends, all those who are listening, if you think all these are happening in your life, you're alert, on the edge, always moving ahead, interested, focused, and energized, but still feel a little pressure inside of you, don't worry. It is the good stress, good pressure inside of you. It's needed. All right. Blood pressure. Many of us, we remember, we usually say BP. When we say blood pressure, we think it's bad. If there is no blood pressure, there is no pumping at all. All right. Blood does not reach your body fully. So blood pressure is good, but there's a normalcy. You know that 120/80 is needed. If there is zero blood pressure, we are dead. All right. So similarly, stress, there should be a limit of stress. But the bad stress is the other opposite. As you say, it distracts, it dissipates your talents. You're unable to enjoy what you were doing a few years ago as a young student or a child. Whatever talents you're doing, now you're not able to do it. Boredom, you're not interested in anything. It takes off your energy. It exhausts us. I'm going to give details of each of this as we progress on. So feel free to stop or ask questions or ask me. Right. Now we're going to do a little activity. I believe you'll all be cooperative and respond to this. As of now, I've given you an overview of the statistics of what is good stress and bad stress, what happens in general. Now, we cannot take one shoes and put into all of your legs. All right. One size fit all doesn't happen, because stressors, it may sound similar, but for your situation, your life, your family, your ability, personality, it varies. So what we're going to do now, maybe for another 3 to 5 minutes maximum, we're going to identify some stressors. Okay, let me give you the headings, and I'll be happy to hear some answers from you. What do you think are some non-living things in our life which causes stress in us? If there is an option for chat, we can do that. Chat is only available to 15 members. Okay, so chat is not active, no problem. So non-living things in your life that puts stress on you. Anyone? Any one or two people? You have to speak up. It's post lunch time. If you don't speak, then it's going to be difficult.
Raining.
Come again, sir. Somebody said something, I didn't get it fully. Anyone else? Non-living things in your life that put stress on you?
Traffic lights, sir.
Traffic lights, okay. Why, sir? Why do you think traffic lights put stress on you?
It make delay in my work, sir. That's why.
Okay. This is interesting. We want to go very fast and reach the destination, not here, but traffic lights are not there. Imagine everybody says traffic lights are the problem. Thank you, sir, for your answer. I appreciate it. It delays your work. Okay, traffic lights is good. Anyone else? Any non-living things that
our mobile phones.
Yeah, I was expecting that answer. Yes, very good. A small gadget put so much of stress on us, right? So suddenly charge goes off, or there's no internet connection, or you have to respond to something that your friend has posted. One small gadget in hand, it can give a lot of stress. Interestingly, when we spoke to a bunch of teenage students of 15, 16 years, they also said the same thing. These are all 10th standard, 11th standard youngsters. We asked the same question to them. For non-living things, the first answer they gave was gadgets. phone
வணக்கம்
is
சார்.
what they're saying. So
சார்,
it is age-wise. There's no difference. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? One more answer.
பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ்
Which,
Sir, natural disasters
இருக்கா
like
ரெக்கார்டிங் ரெக்கார்ட் நாளைக்கு
natural disasters like winds, temperatures, flood.
okay. Does it? Okay, I agree with you. Does it directly put stress on you? That's it. Thank you, sir. Or is it the news that comes in your into your ears that puts pressure on you?
It's not only news, sir. Like
Okay.
if you go out and eat,
சார் ரெக்கார்டிங் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி
so definitely if it's very hot, it's definitely it's
Okay.
going to be a stress.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for that answer. And now I have a doubt whether these natural calamities are living or non-living things. I'm confused a little bit. I thought all those had life. But anyway, thank you, ma'am, for sharing that. Rain, sunshine, and natural calamities like earthquake or tsunami or all those things. Thank you. Right, you can keep listing. The reason why I'm giving you time here is this is a self-reflection time. This is not, of course, it is part of FTP. I agree that this is part of a formal training program, but I personally don't want it to be yet another lecture and thank you very much and go out the evening. This should help your life, okay? As academicians, our life should improve. Only then we can improve the life of other students. So if you have a notepad or something, please list out things that are actually troubling you, non-living things which are troubling you. Living things that put stress on us, anyone? Any one or two people you can say, give examples?
Kids when they are not listening to us.
Who's that not? Who's not listening?
That's happening. Kids. Our own kids.
Okay.
Our relatives.
Relations. Our relations.
Okay. Any specific relations, sir? I don't want to spell it out, but if it's going to get trouble at home, then don't tell.
Job security, sir.
No, living things. I'm talking about living things. Job security, yes. Okay, that is
Sir,
kind of. Yes, ma'am.
to follow a routine, sir, a specific routine like wake up early, making a list for yourself.
Okay, that puts stress on you.
Facing
That's
your
right.
challenges. Yeah,
Okay.
looking
Our
after
expect-
ourselves.
Okay, I think we are slightly away from the question that I asked. The living things. Okay, of course, I take your answers. Children, somebody said. Relatives, somebody said. And somebody is saying, putting up a list for ourselves. That's coming next. Any living things around us which puts pressure on us or stress on us. People
Our
you said.
head, sir. Head of the
Go ahead, sir.
Head of that institution.
Okay. Since you're all muted and closed on video, I think it's kind of safe. We don't know which institute who. Yep, people around us. I'm going to show you a list of things that put pressure on teachers. I think another 1 or 2 slides you're going to see that. Thank you, sir. Head of the institution, boss, colleagues, okay? Children. Yeah. Kindly keep your mics muted if you're not speaking, so that there is no disturbance. Yeah. Please mute your mics. Those who are speaking, unmute and immediately mute back. Right. So people around us, I'm encouraging each of you to write down also, or at least quickly list it out, because it's easy to handle if you know whom we are attacking. Otherwise, it becomes very general. We're not talking about global stressors today. We're talking about personal stressors. All right. So it will be good if you list it out, and it will help you. Now, internal factors that put stress on us. I think one of the ma'ams beautifully said, the stress of getting up in the morning and listing what I'm supposed to do. That is internal. Nobody outside is going to put pressure on me. This is my own pressure. Listing what to do, when, how can I finish it? Okay, that pressure builds up the moment I wake up in the morning. Okay, will I be able to finish the deadline? Will I get a call now from my boss, from my HOD or professor? Will they call and ask, where is the report? Where is the publication numbers and all that? So that is internal. Any other internal things that give stress on us, friends? Anyone?
Sir,
Internal? Yeah.
actually, if you want to relax yourself, or if you want to meditate, if you want to do exercises, so that's also kind of stress, sir. Because we follow a routine, so we have to do it regularly. So we have that stress. So during this period, because I myself, I have I have a timetable. So during this period, I have to do this. During this time.
So the good
that
stress.
is a kind of stress.
It's a good stress that you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Tiger.
Yeah, exercising,
Thank
even
you.
listing it out. Yeah. Even listing out what you want to do is a good stress. Though it may sound pressurized, but it's good for you. So you are focused. You're able to move ahead with that.
Concentrating.
Yes.
concentration.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Exercise, though it's good for health, though, but you have to put stress to exercise. You have to go to either work out at home or work out in the gym or wherever. It's stress, but it's good for you. Thanks, ma'am, for sharing that. Very valid points. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Others can also keep speaking or keep doing. Now, external factors that put pressure on us or stress on us. There comes our rain, our climate that you said, no? Things which are beyond our control. That's a clue that I'm giving. You can think about it. Things which are beyond our control, but still it puts pressure on us. Let me give a quick example. Yesterday night I was watching television news. I usually go through the news channels quickly, 3 channels in English and 3 channels in Tamil, just to make sure what's happening. Because if you're too much away from the real world, you don't know what's happening around. Everything was going good. Good news was there on the channel. Of course, nowadays most of the news that we see, though it's political or sports or whatever, it slightly puts a stress. One of the news that flashed across in one of the Tamil channels was a young guy. He looks almost like a cinema actor. He was going at a very high speed in a bike, a very costly bike. Suddenly, a cow, I think a cow which ran across the road, hit him. Okay, it ran and he hit the cow. He hit against a tree and died on the spot. Doesn't sound very good to share in this afternoon time. But the moment I heard and saw that it was captured on a CCTV, they showed it on the news. It disturbed me a lot. All right. It was just in a flash. It was just in the what is that? Speed news. It was not even for 30 seconds. They showed it less than 30 seconds in speed news. But the news which came from that news channel into me put a little bit of stress inside of me yesterday night. Okay, I lost my peace. I was not very happy. Saw that youngster, maybe a college student or a little elder than a college student. So these are factors outside, beyond our control. Okay, one thing that I could have done is switch off the television, but that was after the news came. So it was a little too late. I already saw the news. So there are factors around us which we have no control, but still they can put pressure on us. What I'm trying to say is there are certain things on which we have no control at all, though we want to live a stress-free life. So thank you for all your inputs. Keep writing. If you have a notebook in front of you or paper in front of you, keep listing it out. Because let me tell you, friends, unless you know whom you're attacking, with whom you're struggling or whom you're fighting, there's no point fighting at all. If you just keep on telling, I'm full of stress, I want to come out of stress. But if you don't know what are the stressors in your life, are they living things? Are they non-living things? Are they factors inside of you? Inferiority complex can be one thing. I struggled with this very much when I was in my early college years, late school days, 11th, 12th and college, first and second year. I had inferiority complex. I'm going to tell you the solutions a little later, but I'm just sharing. These are internal factors. Nobody put pressure on me, not my parents, not my classmates. Nobody told anything about me. It was my own self. Whenever I look at the mirror, I was very thin. Not very, I'm not saying that I'm very good looking now, but at least during the college days, not very good looking, very skinny. So whenever I look at the mirror and say, what is this here? I really don't like myself. My face is not good. My body shape is not good. Very thin. All right. So these are internal factors. Nobody commented on me. Nobody told anything negative. It was my own thinking. Internal factors which put so much of pressure. So what is the outcome of it? I don't want to go out. I don't want to play with friends. I didn't want to show my face outside. All these are internal. All right. So please keep listing. So if you're able to segregate your stressors around you, it's easy for you to tackle it. Certain things will be very silly, as I told you, but it's good that we list it out. Now here are interesting things. Again, this is from a researched an article which came up. I just put it here. Stressors for teachers. I believe most of you on the call, because you're attending FTP, I assume most of you are teachers, professors, or academicians in some way. All right. So uncertainty is the top reason. All of us are familiar with VUCA world. Anybody there who want to unmute and say what is VUCA world? VUCA world. Full form for VUCA. Not a very new term, but not a very old term also. Anyone? Full form for VUCA. Any assumption?
Sir, I think it's leadership skills, like uncertainty, ambiguity.
Okay. Yeah, right. You got two correct. U for uncertainty, A for ambiguity. Correct. What is V and C? Any
No
guesses?
ideas.
No. Thanks, ma'am, for the answer. So what is that?
Complexity.
C for complexity.
Complexity.
Yeah. C is complex. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. C is complex. And V?
Volatile.
Sorry, ma'am?
Volatile.
Yeah, you got it right. Very easy. If you look at any of these news channels now, at least the business news channels, they use this word quite often, almost every day. We live in a VUCA world. What does it mean? Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We are unable to predict anything. All the plans that you make for tomorrow can be changed overnight today. That's the kind of the world that we're living. So that gives a lot of stress to the teachers. And the other reasons are people say planning for lessons, especially now we are online, we have to engage the students well. We don't see them also there. We don't know whether these guys are there in the class or not. We don't see their face, they don't respond, they don't give any reaction, but we have to still plan for the lessons because we have to give them the best. Student performance, the full statement for this is accountability for student performance. You would have shouted your heart out to make sure students are engaged, they're listening to you. But at the end of the day, when the results come, 50% of the class is gone. They flunked, they failed. And who does the administration question? Not the student, they question you or the teachers. Okay, they question us and say, what happened? What happened to the student performance? Why 50% failure? But you would have given you the best. Unfortunate. All right. So student performance is another stressor. Class management, be it physical face-to-face class or online class, handling them, managing. I see my children attending online classes now. Of course, on one side, students are also under stress, but we see teachers so much of stress on the teachers to make sure they manage the class well. Admin responsibility. The calling is a teacher. All right. The tag or the role that we are teachers or professors. But along with that comes admin roles also, especially people who are good in administrative skills. If you're a good organizer, a person who can speak up, a person who can do good PPT or Excel, worksheets and all the additional work also comes in. Prepare this report now, prepare this in project. I'm not saying these are all wrong. I'm not saying these are all should be avoided, but these are all real. It's all there around us. Some people are there, some teachers are there who enjoy doing it. In fact, I belong to that category. I enjoyed teaching. At the same time, when admin responsibility is given, I also enjoy doing it. To the point it becomes only distress. Okay, I allow it only to the point of the green color in the graph. Beyond that, I go and tell my boss, sorry, sir, I can't do it. It's too much. I have to stay back at work and all that. So difficult students, these are some of the examples. Difficult students put a stress. Difficult colleagues, no cooperation from the colleagues. They always dump all their responsibility on you. All right. Difficult boss. I think, I'm sorry, it's not difficulty boss, difficult boss. So if you have a boss who is not understanding, he doesn't care, no? The process-oriented bosses. If we have more time, I can talk on the two types of leaders. No? People-oriented leaders are there, process-oriented leaders are there. Process-oriented leaders, they don't care about whatever happens to the subordinates. All they want is results. End of the day, I need it. I don't care whether you have a headache or stomachache or somebody dead in your family. I don't care. Just finish this and go. Okay? But people-oriented leaders are the other extreme, which is not, again, a good leadership, but somebody who is in between. Balanced leader is what we need. Difficult institution, somebody mentioned that a few minutes ago. Stakeholder pressure, parents coming and questioning us. That's the saddest thing. No? For a teacher, you would have done your best. There are students who question you. There are your boss questioning you. Your institution already questions us as a teacher, but there are also parents coming and questioning. And also in some places I've seen recruiters coming and questioning the teachers, not to recruit them, but asking why your students are not performing. Who is questioning? One of the stakeholders. All right, these are all unprecedented stressors. We really don't anticipate these things can happen. Unsupportive administration, self-development and growth. The pressure, what do I say? The paradox. One side, you are focused on teaching your students, making them develop, grow, make them the best on one extreme. On the other extreme, you also see that your skills are not sharpened. Last 10 years, you're not attended even one program, no FDP, no outing or no retreats or nothing special has happened to you. No publications, maybe publications have come down. You also have to grow. That also puts us on stress. One side you have to teach, other side you have to learn and become a student yourself. As somebody mentioned, I think one of the professors mentioned job insecurity. Every day you come to work with a fear. Will I be there today? Is my name there on the cards? Either it's a register or on the online. Is my name there? Okay, you always come to work with a fear. frequent changes in system, it confuses us. We don't know whom we are reporting, what is the system. Today you follow a particular system, tomorrow they change it. All right. I'm sure all of you as professors are familiar with the NEP, which has come up. All right. NEP has amazing positive points, very good positive points on the education, the policy. At the same time, there is going to be a lot of impact in our way of doing things, change in system. And I'm sure these two words are familiar nowadays, at least these last 10 months. Work from home and work for home, the two extremes. We sit at home. I'm sure most of you would have seen this funny picture that came up on WhatsApp few months ago. I was unable to trace it back. A guy sitting in the office was actually making chapati dough. All right, he was putting all the flour on the office table and making chapatis on the table. So this boss walks in and he says, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing? What are you doing with this chapati thing at office?" He said, "Sir, you always gave me work from home. All right, now this is work from office. All right, I'm doing homework at the office." All right, so we get confused. We are stressed so much. Work from home and work for home. The responsibilities that we are doing, and it goes on and on. So my friends, all those who are able to see the screen, if there's anything that is stressing you today, any of these reasons, you may say all of these are right, sir. But you can say, no, one or two here are the stressors. Please write it down because we have to pin it and tackle them. Some of the reasons for bad stress, okay, is here. This is kind of a repetition, but I want you to make it yours so you know what is actually causing that bad stress, where you go into depression, loneliness, no interest in life, poor performance. You need to understand what are the reasons. One is high expectations, high expectations. Okay, this is not expectations by others. This is your own expectation. You raise the bar so high by comparing yourself with others, which is quite bad. Remember, my friends, you are unique. There is no duplicates. Your personality is unique. Your abilities are unique. Your capabilities are unique. All right. Maybe your colleagues are better than you in terms of comparison, but actually you're unique. All right. So you should not, first of all, compare yourself. What happens if we compare with others? Two dangerous things happen. One, we land up in inferiority complex. And what is that? It does not allow you to progress at all. Okay, you think you're useless, you're not going to come up in life, nobody's going to support you, you're not going to grow up the career ladder, all these things come up. And the other extreme is superiority complex. You actually start flying in the air. You think, you're the best, there's no more chance for you to develop and all this. To put it in two simple words, you land up either being jealous or you either land up being proud. Both are very bad for us. It's like cancer. So all those who are listening on this call, if you have the habit of comparing yourself with your colleagues, even your own colleagues who sit in the next cabin in your office, stop it today. Okay? You are supposed to give your best. They will do their best. The colleagues, they will do their best. Unfortunately, our systems are like this. No, our boss immediately compare. Okay? They will call Mr. B and say, "Hey, what are you doing here? Last 6 months, no publication. Look at Mr. C. 6 months, 6 publications." So that has been our culture. Unfortunately, it's very bad. I'm sure most of you, if you're parents, you know that all those systems are changing even in school. There is no more comparison and ranking in schools. They're only giving grades based on every child's performance. So those are certain things which we can bring in. So stop comparing with others. The second reason for bad stress, unpreparedness to meet the demands of others. So that's where the skill training or laziness or disinterest in life comes in. We are not prepared. When somebody asks for something, this can also be attributed to unorganized way of living. Okay, suddenly your boss is giving you a responsibility. He says, you need to compile all these, put it in a file, soft copy or hard copy. So whenever I ask, you're supposed to bring it to me. And after 3 months, he calls you and says, "Okay, can you bring me that file? Let's say an accreditation file. You are responsible for it." And then you realize the papers which were given to you 3 months back, you did not file it. You put it on a table, it's there, but you don't know where it is. Okay, you land up in bad stress because you're not prepared, you're not organized enough. So all these things we can rectify it. These are all under our control. The third one, fear of the unknown. As I told you, there are people who worry about worry. Okay, unnecessary fear. I believe most of you are familiar with this wonderful finding. People say if a snake bites, I think about 20% of the people actually die because if the snakes bite them. But 80% of the people die because of the fear that they're going to die, not because of the poison, not because snake has actually bitten them. Because of the fear that they're going to die, they die. All right. So similarly, even in our lives, we worry about worries. What will happen tomorrow? What am I going to do about tomorrow? The next one is peer pressure, not only academic related. It can be peer pressure to keep up with the standards of the society, buy a car, buy a new phone, buy a home, take a loan. Okay, last week we had a session on finance, family finances, and the expert was mentioning many of the bad investments people make is not because they are in need of that investment. It is because they compare themselves with their colleagues, or they get the idea of their colleagues. They have absolutely no idea where IT returns will come, where they have exemptions from the IT and all. They don't think at all. They think, okay, my colleague has invested in this one, let me also put the money. And nothing happens. The money is gone, they're also under a lot of pressure. So you need to be very careful with whom you're comparing or with whom you're getting advice and counsel. Otherwise, you're going to land up in unnecessary stress. Poor personal health. My friends, please check your eating habits. One of the madam mentioned beautifully about exercising. If you have the habit of exercising regularly, please keep it up. I do it. I started when I was in college second year, and till today I make sure there is a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes sweating exercise. Not gazing at the mountain, not gazing at the trees, all right? Not just looking at the birds and say, I exercised my eyes. Your body should sweat. So it is good. So if you eat unwanted things, that again it will lead up to stress. If you don't exercise, it will lead up to bad stress. And what you see, what you hear online also contributes to your poor personal health. So my friends, let's be careful. I know I'm talking to a bunch of educated, elderly, senior teachers and professors, but still there are many who are hooked onto gadgets, looking things or seeing things which are actually very bad for our health. Let's be very careful. And another big problem with many of us, I had this problem, saying yes to everything. What does it mean? We don't know to say no. I had this problem when I was working as a professor, as a lecturer in the college. When I'll be seriously into some work. When my friend comes and says, "Hey, Bright, can we go for a cup of tea?" I'll immediately get up from the chair, because I don't know how to say no. I think my friend will get offended. He will think, okay, I'm very rude. I'll say, okay, sir, and I will walk. And that one cup of tea will take almost 30 minutes to 45 minutes gone. My concentration is gone, my focus is gone, and by the time I come back, that work interest is gone on that work. I lose it. It can start with a small cup of tea, saying yes to all additional responsibilities. Okay, we say, yes, sir, I can do it, sir, no problem, sir. You forward the mail, sir, I will take care of it. We say yes to everything, load our inbox or file with so many responsibilities, and we land up in bad stress because everybody can't do everything. We are only tuned or designed to do certain things. We need to be very, very careful about it. So when you look at these reasons, already you would have had some solutions for this, which I'm going to run you through pretty quickly. And of course, some of the indications, when I say stress, don't think stress comes only with big health problems. It can be manifested in these things also. Indigestion, you can have palpitations. You know what is palpitations, okay? Fast beating of the heart. And diarrhea, you can have headaches, you can have dizziness, sleep disorders, unable to have proper sleep in the night. That could be because of stress, sweaty palms, okay? And the list goes on. Again, these are very simple manifestations of stress. But the good news, my friends, things can become better if we work with our emotions and overcome the negative. Okay, so now actually we are going to the solution part of it. All this while I gave you an overview. I told you what exactly is happening globally, nationally, what could be the common stressors, and some very personal specific stressors to teachers. And we are now moving into the last phase of it, of what could be the solutions to handle this stress. How do I really handle it? So that's the reason why I'm repeating again. If you have listed your stressors, it's easy for you to now strike it off or tick it or put a solution next to it. If you're not listed, it will be again general. You don't know what to handle when. You'll be confused, all right? Any questions? Before we move to the last phase, maybe this will take another 20-25 minutes and we can end. Any questions, comments, suggestions or feedback? FDP, I would be happy to. Are we going good? Are we able to understand anything or misunderstand everything? Any comments, friends? One of you can unmute and say.
Understanding.
No, sir.
Understanding, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, sir, you were saying something? Okay. One ma'am had given a feedback. Thank you. Anyone else want to quickly tell, are we going good? Then we can proceed. Okay.
Good presentations,
going
okay.
good,
So, manage things.
Going good? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Now, just to make sure that two things. The reason one is make sure that I'm going correctly. And second one, to ensure that you're all there on the other side. Okay, that's the reason why I asked. Because digitally, we don't know who is where. Thank you, ma'am. Just kidding. Thank you for your feedback. That gives confidence to move on. Right, let's go on to the solutions part of it. Simple ways to de-stress. Very simple things. As I told you in the very first slide, when we began, I told you, you may think, oh, all these I know, yeah, I've studied this already in school, college. This guy is coming and telling me. Good. If you know that, it's very good. Put it into practice. If you think you're already practicing it, now teach to the people around you. Okay, teach to your spouse, teach to your children or your parents, and let the whole people around us be benefited out of it. Let's look into some of the solutions. The first and the very important solution, I would say, is have an attitude of gratitude. What does that mean? Be thankful for what you have already. Many times we are so stressed by thinking of what we don't have, the money that we don't have, the house that we don't have, the phone that we don't have, the dress that we don't have. Okay, so but we already have certain things, but we are more worried about things that we actually don't have. Yeah. Somebody speaking? Okay, kindly mute your mics. Yeah, friends, can you mute your mic? So I think one of you mic is open. All right, thank you. If you want to share anything, please feel free. Otherwise, make sure your mics are muted. Right. So the first and important solution, it's an attitude. As you see it on the screen, it is not something that happens overnight, but you can develop it. It's an attitude. You need to be thankful for what you have already. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this statement. It says, "Count your blessings, not count what you don't have." Okay. So let's develop that habit of what I have already. So wonderful family, wonderful education, good abilities, talent, ability to speak in English, understand English. So think of the positives and start thanking. Have the attitude of gratitude. Never compare with others. That's what you see on the right end of the screen. Don't compare, because the moment we start comparing, we are already into stress, especially bad stress and distress. All right, that's number one. The second one is, good things happen when you set your priorities straight. Put first things first. First things first is one of the statements made by Stephen Covey. I believe most of you here are familiar with Stephen Covey. He's a motivational speaker, a management guru who brought out the book which says Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. If you're if you're not read this book, please make sure. There's an 8th habit also. So the first habit, he says, is this. One of the habits, not the first habit. One of the habits is put first things first. Okay. Please give me a minute. I will try playing a video if it is okay. If the audio is not coming through, don't worry. There is text in that video. I want you to watch. Okay. Let's see if the video comes through. Please don't be worried if you're not able to see the hear the audio. Okay? Just give me a minute. Just for a change. Okay, this is a small clipping, about 3 minutes. Let's see if this fellow is working for you. I hope you were able to see the video, and it conveyed most of it. There's no need for me to explain anything at all. All right, so let's move on. So the first thing I told you was have an attitude of gratitude. Think of what you already have. Second solution to be stress-free is prioritize things. Okay, put first things first. I heard the statement which is still ringing in my ears. One of our trainers a few months ago, he said, put in the big rocks first or the golf balls first, because otherwise you can't put them in later. So what do we do first thing in the morning is very important. All right, so this is the jar that you saw in the video. Organized life, all the big stones go in first, and then the small stones, and then the sand, and of course you have time for chocolate milk. But if it's a disorganized life, you put the sand first. It can be, let me give you simple, straightforward examples. Even if you are angry with me, no problem. What do we do first thing in the morning when you wake up? If you're going to open up your phone, switch on the mobile data or Wi-Fi and start reading all the good morning wishes and messages and start replying to it, this is the sand. You spend at least 1 hour, 30 minutes just to reply to good morning, how are you, how was the night and everything, and commenting on Facebook posts and photos and things like that. You already have filled 25% of your day with the sand. And then you suddenly remember you're supposed to submit something for your boss. Then you remember there is something to do with your family. Your wife had told something, your husband had told something, you forgot it. Your child had asked something, you forgot it. Then you try to put that big rocks inside, it will not go in. At the end of the day, you're a dissatisfied person because we were disorganized in the beginning. So my friends, today, let's make decisions. And these are all choices in life. Nobody's going to come, no miracle happening. Nobody's going to come down and change just like that. We are all human beings. The Almighty God has given us the ability to choose and make changes. So I encourage you to make sure the big rocks go first, then the small rocks and the sand. And of course, you have time for chocolate and ice cream. And this is just for your information, in case you're not familiar with this. This is the priority matrix. The priority matrix, something which I teach in management, I also been using it in my life. Now it's become a practice. Earlier on, it was just a picture for me, but now it is being a practice. See, everything in our life has two extremes, important and urgent. You see it here on the screen. There are things which are important. There are things which are urgent. If you're able to categorize them into these 4 quadrants, you can definitely avoid stress. I've practiced it. I am telling it out of my own personal experience. Many times I put everything in the first box. Everything is important, everything is urgent. But then slowly I started realizing I'm doing foolish things. Because my performance quality dropped down. I tried to push everything into that first quadrant, do first action, then the quality, the outcome becomes very, very bad. So I leave it here. I'm not going to explain everything. There are 4 places where you can put every action. Right from the morning you wake up till the time you go to bed, every action can be put in one of these boxes. And the solution is also given here. See this? If it's a very high important, high urgency thing, do it first. You do it. If it's a low important, high urgency thing, you delegate it. You can ask somebody else to do. It is low important but urgent. So you need not be there. You can actually ask one of your friend or colleague or somebody in your family can do it. All right. And the third quadrant is here. It is highly important but not urgent. So what you do, you put it in a calendar. You need not do it today itself. You can do it tomorrow or when you finish your priority. When the red box is kind of empty, you can start with the orange box. So high important, low urgency, you schedule it. And low importance and low urgency, you actually don't need to do it at all. All right, a comment that has come online, all right, or a criticism that somebody whom you don't know had made online or told it straight on your face. If you think it's not urgent, it's not important at all, you need not respond.
Hello?
The moment you take it into your head and start thinking about it, all the other 3 boxes take a hit. Okay, you are unable to perform your best. So keep this quadrant in mind, the priority matrix. In Google it, it's always there, the Eisenhower matrix. It's going to help you to organize. You can teach your children also. You can teach your children, you can teach your students. This priority matrix will help them. Now the third solution, okay, I repeat again. First one, have attitude of gratitude. The second one, prioritize things. The third one is learn to say no. Few slides back, I told you one of the problems is we say yes to everything and everybody, especially when it comes from home, from your spouse or from your boss. Both are the same for somebody, all right? For some people, both boss and spouse are same. All right, so when we say yes to everything, we're in trouble. So now we need to learn to say no. without explaining yourself. And that is what is called as assertiveness, not arrogance. Please don't mistake me. I'm not asking you to tell it out of arrogance, but assertive. People will start respecting you when you're assertive. They will say, okay, this guy or this lady, even if I go and tell them in their during this time, they will tell no. That's a habit, and I have learned it again, my friends, from my own personal life. Even picking up a call, even picking up a phone or picking up a message alert, SMS alert or WhatsApp alert, you should be able to say no. And that will become a habit for you, and it will become an alert for others. They'll say, okay, this guy, even if I'm going to call him after 9 o'clock in the night, or if I'm going to call during office hours, he's not going to pick the call because he respects work. So this is something that we convey through our practice. So turn off your gadgets once in a while. I started doing this in the last 10 months, especially these 10 months, most of the training programs, counseling, everything was online. But still, I ensured there are times where I just switch it off. I just put on my laptop, I just turn off my phone, I go out, take my daughter for a walk, or go out in the car, roam around and come. All these are possible, okay? The problem is we assume that somebody will call that time. That's the FOMO I told you, fear of missing out. But let me tell you, one of my good friends, a professor in MIT at Manipal, he came out with this term. He said, from FOMO, let's move to JOMO, J-O-M-O. What is that? Joy of missing out. Okay, so we need to convert our fear into joy. It's possible, and the control is in our hands. Okay, you cannot expect a magician a genie to come and turn off your phone. It's your phone, your laptop, you can turn it off. Make sure you come back and continue your work, right? So what are things that we can say no to? Attractively sounding yet destructive offers. This is especially at the work spot. Now people will speak very high about you. They'll say, sir, you are the best, sir. Without you, nobody can do this, sir. You are the one who is capable of doing it. All these kinds of wonderful statements people will do. People will tell. I'm sure you are able to understand what I'm saying. Attractive sounding yet destructive offers. Learn to say no. Second, the SAND category activities, I already explained to you, things which are very, very, very silly. Eat up your time in the morning or eat up your time in the night, even watching television, watching something on your phone. All of these are sand things. You fill up the jar with sand, then there is no time for big pebbles. Say no to false friends. When I say false friends, don't get me wrong, there are people who are always concerned about their needs. They will come and talk to you as if they are concerned about you. But ultimately, when the work is done, they are not in the picture. We have to put our foot down and say no to these friends. It will be hurting initially, but it's possible. Say no to gadgets and social media groups. My friends, again, this is from my personal experience. I tell you, though it was all digital, online last 10 months, there are about 20 to 22 groups. I said, thank you very much, and I moved out. Because I felt being in the group has made me nothing. Only thing is I am tempted to look into every message that is posted there, but absolutely it is not developing intellectually or grown. Only thing, it put me more stress because of FOMO. I felt I'm missing out on something, so I want to check the message again and again and again. So I put a decent message and I said, thank you very much, friends. Happy to be for being part of this group. I want to move out now. Nobody is crying for me. Nobody said, oh, Brighton, don't go, we are missing nothing. But then I understand. So even if I'm not there, group is going to be there, work is going to happen. So I need to focus on my big rocks, not the sand. And the last one, I would like to explain this a little bit. It is killer fun. There are two words in this, killer and fun. Things which you do it for fun. It could be even your eating habits. I told you a few minutes ago, even eating habits, even things that you view online, kind of videos or music or text that you read. It could be fun, but let me tell you, friends, out of our experience in counseling addicts, I'm telling you, things that start as fun with small things, it can topple your personality upside down. You can be a person totally unfit for your profession. The way you behave will change. The kind of words that you speak will change. The way you handle people, the way you look at people, even your sight will change if this thing is not taken care. So I assume that all of you listening to this call today are able to connect with what I'm saying, because this is habits. I cannot go into personal habits. You know what I'm talking about. So try to handle killer fun carefully. And the last but one is stewardship. I would like to give this concept to you or to all these friends here. Remember, none of us here are owners of anything. We are only caretakers. Okay, we are managers, stewards, agents, governors. All right, we are all people who have been given responsibility. When we were born, we did not come with a professorship.
We didn't have the HOD position. We didn't have the teaching position. We came as a baby, a small baby. We grew up. We are going to become old and go again. So all that we have in our hand is only from somebody else. We don't own anything. So please make a note of these things. I would quickly take you through of how to be a good steward. First, you need to be submissive to all authority. Whether you like the boss or not, be submissive. That itself will take most of your stress. Learn to be submissive. Second, strive to be trustworthy. Let our walking and talking be the same, not opposites. The third one, enthusiastic. Be always joyful and give your best. If you're a professor, if you're a teacher in the profession, just give your best. Be enthusiastic about it. Okay, don't fret and complain. Workmanship. What is that? Always keep sharpening your skills. If a carpenter has to be a very demanded carpenter, he has to keep sharpening his saw quite well. He has to sharpen his skills every day. He cannot say, I became a carpenter in 1948 and today nobody is calling me, nobody will call. Unless and otherwise he sharpens his skills, there's no demand. So if you're a teacher, make sure your skills are sharpened every day. Communication, technically, or presentation, wherever possible, sharpen. Be accountable. Always give report to your bosses or authority, even at home. Make sure you are accountable. Don't hide, don't manipulate. That will take off a lot of the stress. If you're open and truthful, most of the stress is gone. Be reliable. So as I told you earlier also, let the walking and the talking be the same. There will be no contradiction. Whatever you say has to be seen in your life, and whatever is seen should be told through your life. And last one, be devoted to God and be devoted to your work. Some people say that, right? Work is worship to God. So don't detach these things. There is no separate sacred and secular. It's all the same. We are here and we are supposed to be devoted to the profession we are, and we are supposed to be devoted to the Almighty God. So a small lesson from the, we are finishing another 5 minutes, so don't worry, I'm taking you through pretty quickly. But there's this lesson from Alexander the Great. He told this when he was dying, the last wishes of Alexander. He said, my first desire is that my physicians alone must carry my coffin, not my friends, nobody else, my physicians, doctors. He said, second desire, my coffin is being carried on the path to the graveyard. There should be gold, silver and stones which I have collected in my treasury. It should be thrown on the road along the way to the graveyard. Third one, both my hands have to be kept outside the coffin. So you know what? How Alexander's coffin looked? They made a coffin and they put 2 holes on the side, and his hand was outside. And what is the lesson that he's trying to convey? He said, no doctor on earth can really save anybody. So I want the doctors to carry the doctors who took care of me only should carry me to the grave, because let people know that no doctor can really save him. If somebody has to die, they have to die. Doctors can give treatment, but there is definitely an expiry date for everyone. The second lesson, he said, I spent all my life in greed for power and earning riches, but the lesson is, I cannot take anything with me when I die. It's a sheer waste of time to chase wealth. He's not telling living is a waste of time, but he said chasing wealth is waste of time. So instead, chase knowledge, chase wisdom, and wealth is automatically going to come to you. The third wish, he said, I want my hands to be outside because I came empty and I'm going back empty. What a powerful lesson, from one of the greatest men of history. Alexander the Great, he says that. And Mother Teresa, of our motivation, she says, we are called not to be successful, but to be faithful. We started off saying how we can be success amidst stress. That's the theme for the evening. But I would like to end with a slightly different note. We are not called to be successful, because success differs in different contexts. Right? Success for you may not be success for your own wife, right? Or your own husband. This is nothing that you have seen so many. They will immediately downplay your success. But if you are faithful, nobody can question your faithfulness, because faithfulness is personal. Alright? So we are not called to be successful, but we are called to be faithful. Even in the smallest of the work, simplest of the work, be faithful. Whether the people appreciate you, give you an award or anything. I'm always amazed with the Nobel Prize winners. I used to read and hear a lot of Nobel Prize winners' interviews. One of the interesting ones is from our own country, right? And Afghanistan. Okay? Malala Yousafzai and Vidyarthi, both of them got Nobel Prize at the same time. And I was listening to the interview, and the interviewer was asking, did you have any intention or interest, or at least a thought, that your work for the community will get you a Nobel Prize. They said absolutely not. They never even thought that there is something called Nobel Prize or something that will take them to that level. They said, we had a burden, we had a cause to work for, and we kept on working. Nobel Prize automatically came on its way. So my friends, whether you are being recognized by an institution, award is given, best teacher, best professor, best accomplisher or researcher, whatever award is given or not, whatever responsibility is given to you, give your best. Awards and recognition automatically comes. And the last and the beautiful solution to come out of our stress is be a friend in need. Especially during this time of crisis of corona and floods and cyclones, you may say, I myself am stressed, sir, what can I do? Let me tell you, my friends, this evening I'm talking to you not because I'm a stress-free, zero-stress person, but I enjoy what I'm doing. There are problems in life, there are challenges, there are needs around us, there are issues that we need to sort it out personally, in our work, in our ministry, whatever we do. But I cannot lock my room and say, oh, let me solve all my problems, then go out to help the community. I won't do anything at all. In spite of my problem, you see this picture on the right side, somebody who is already in the water, still putting the hand out and say, come, let me pull you out. The sparrow, beautiful picture, no? The sparrow itself is very small, but the sparrow says, let me open the tap for you. You have a drink, let me drink next. So one of the best and the good ways to come out of your stress or the distress is go out and help people. Be spontaneous, be creative. Go out and have fun and let things happen naturally. All these simple words are here at the bottom. Relax, go out, meditate, breathe, have fun, slow down, take it easy, be positive, and stop looking inward and start looking upward. The more we are self-focused and self-centered, the more stressed we are. We need to start looking outside of us. People who are in need, people who are in distress, people who are longing for some word of encouragement and hope. You just reach out there and also look up the Almighty. There's going to be a big change. So let me end with this statement. Here it says, life can be happier and stress-free if we remember one simple thing. And what is that? We can't have all that we desire. It's not possible. But the Almighty, God, He will give us all that we deserve. So let's be faithful only. So let's not be running behind wealth and riches and fame and name and awards and recognitions, which will give us more stress. Of course, we need to work for it, but work faithfully, and whatever we deserve will be given at the right time by the Almighty God. So I want to really thank each one of you for patiently listening. I believe it reached you all through this online, assuming that you're all there. Thank you once again for the opportunity, especially to Dr. Mrs. Sudha and the entire organizing team from ASCT and Karunya and the conference of FDP. Thank you and good evening. Any questions, comments or suggestions are welcome. Let me stop screen share and hand over to the MC. Thank you everybody.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and encouraging and helping all of us to stay calm, handle and overcome stress amidst these difficult times of this pandemic. It was an interesting and interactive session. Thank you for motivating us to analyze our insults, to convert our stress into deserts, and accept everything and expect nothing from others and be thankful to what we have. And also for reminding us that each one of us are unique. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The session is open for the participants. If you have any queries, you can unmute your mic and raise your queries.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. Thank you very much.
Welcome, ma'am. So happy to hear that. Let's start applying it in our lives and be happy. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful session, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
So this is Hema Malini, sir. Sir, it was really very, very interactive, and you have said the reality of life, because we now people are running for like races.
Yes.
So you have really built up a good topic, sir. Really great. Thanks for the session, sir.
All the best, ma'am. Yes, God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful session. Morning I was full of stress, now I am relieved. I don't know what happens tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's very inspiration, and even me, like for each and everything, I take into stress for myself.
Yes.
So by hearing this, I can just slowly I can just resolve trying
Yes.
all these. Thank you, sir.
We have to identify our stressors and handle it well. That's the solution.
For each and every small things, even for small, even if it is untidy, you get stressed like that.
Just-
So I
That is
think,
the sand. In priority chart, the untidy thing is the sand. So we
yeah.
need to push it later. The
Yeah,
big
yeah,
rocks.
Thank you very much, sir.
All the best. Yes, all the best. God bless. Thank you. Mrs. Sudha ma'am, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation and shared your valuable time. I hope
you
it
very
will be useful for all the participants. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much and good evening to all. Take care.